All right. So I did not prepare slides tonight because I just didn't feel like the content necessarily warranted slides. Um, I when I asked in the team page a couple weeks ago what everyone needed from me, I kind of got the vibe that people needed to figure out ways to get the most bang for their buck in regards to time spent on business building activities, because life is just crazy right now, and it's still crazy. It's been crazy for a while, and now there's a new level of crazy because school's back in session, and it's a lot different than it was last spring, regardless of if you're working in a school or you have kids in a school, or anything. And businesses, some of them are going back to a different type of schedule, and so we're all just like constantly, I feel like once we figure something out, then it changes a little bit and then we're figuring it out again. And so I really wanted to give some constants as far as the business goes, some really simple things that we can do on a daily basis that aren't super time consuming, don't necessarily take a lot of energy or brain power, because I think a lot of us are struggling even with just being exhausted from this new lifestyle. Like I'm always teacher tired at the beginning of the year, but like this year, it's a whole new level of teacher tired. It's like exhaustion, 24/7. And so I really like spent some time thinking, like, what are the things that are working for me right now? Because what works for me may not work for everybody. But if it's working for me, then I want to share it so that I can help others in any way possible. And um, I've realized a couple things. I was just talking to Tara about this the other day. I've realized a few things that I have sort of switched up in my own business without really realizing it, without being purposeful about it. But are you talking about me? I look really pretty. Oh, thank you. That's so sweet. Um, but I realized that I had switched them up and it's working for me more than everything that I'd always thought was supposed to work for me. So I thought it's time to share. With that said, this quote that I wrote down from summits ago, I don't know how many summits ago it was. This quote has really, really resonated with me all over again, thinking about what to share tonight as far as content goes. It says, it's the start that stops most people. And I feel like that's where a lot of us are at. Like, we feel like we're starting over because life looks different than it did however long ago, if it was just last month or last week or 6 months ago, but or before quarantine hit. Life is just looking different. And so getting started is really giving some of us a major hang up. And most of the pain in getting started is creating new habits. It's just like with our nutrition, it's just like with our fitness journey. The hard part is getting started because we know what we need to do. It's just a matter of not wanting to do it and having to create those habits. It's not hard, but it's not always what we want, but it is what we need. And that's why we are here. So one of the big things that I have done in my business, again, without really realizing it at first until I sat down and had a conversation with Tara about this a week or two ago, um, is I have not been putting a lot of energy, or I'm not going to use the word effort, because I feel like everything I do, I do 100%, whether it's, it doesn't mean I had to take 45 minutes to do it. It just means I put all of me in it. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not putting a lot of energy or time, I guess, into making really thought-provoking posts on social media. And when I say that, I mean, I'm not spending a lot of time be, I'm not trying to be Megan Davies on my Facebook page. I'm not trying to be Shalene Johnson on Instagram. When I post things, they are very authentic and they're from a place, an experience that I'm currently living or going through or resonating with me. And it's not me necessarily trying to always be this high and mighty, let me teach you a life lesson right now, or let me give you a fable or an Aesop, Aesop's fables, or like, let me teach you this metaphorical, lesson that's going to change your life. I'm not necessarily spending a lot of time trying to be eloquent with my words and make something sound more than what it really is. Mostly because I've found when I do that, those are the posts that get the least engagement. And one of the things that I have always said and always, loved about this business is it's not my whole life. I'm living my life, and this is a significant piece of my life because I know it makes my life better. It makes it higher quality. And so instead of spending that time that I would normally spend trying to really piece together these thought-provoking or inspiring motivational posts, instead I find myself getting on stories more. And I've linked my stories on Instagram to my stories on Facebook, which if you have not done that, do it right now. Like right this minute, go into your settings on Instagram and link them, because it's just silly not to have them linked. And I say that as someone who didn't have them linked about 6 or 8 weeks ago. So stop yourself right now and do that, because that's just doubling your content right there. Sorry, my phone keeps buzzing and I want to make sure someone's not trying to get into the team call and they can't or something.
It's just me and Skylar.
Oh, okay. So instead of me spending the time trying, and Christy and I did an amazing team call together, I don't know, months ago, on making like really good, attractive scroll stopping pictures and things like that for our posts, which I still love. I love Christy's pictures. I have not made a point to do that for myself, mainly because I feel like I'm literally like going crazy from place to place to place. Like I actually blow dried my hair for the first time in like 7 months the other day when I got my new blow brush thing in the mail. But I just have it. None of that has been a priority to me because there's just been so many other things on my plate. So I feel you when you say that time is an issue, that you don't have the time to put in what you are trying, that you think you need to put in. That's why I'm here to say stories are my jam, because I can show up looking like this. I can show up with a towel in my hair. I can show up with yesterday's mascara after washing my face, still running down my cheeks right here. And people relate to that. If I posted a picture of that on Facebook, people would be like, look at that freaking hot mess. What is she thinking? But on Instagram stories and Facebook stories, it's a whole new level. It is raw and authentic. And you don't have to prepare. People want to see you in your element. Like when I get on an Instagram story, last week when I was trying Bar Blend, I was too embarrassed to post the moves that I was doing because I was not coordinated at first. I was like really struggling to figure out where my hip was supposed to be going, when my arm was supposed to be going here, and all that. So instead, I just hopped on Instagram stories and I told them, I was like, I did not record my moves today because I've got no freaking clue what I'm doing and I'm outside my comfort zone, but I wanted to show you the space I worked out in, and I wanted to show you what I'm using for my bar. I'm using my kid's easel in our office space for my bar right now. So I just came on and showed that. Now I could have posed with the easel and made a big picture and typed it all up and made a post about it. But probably the only people who would really like chuckle at that and get something out of it are you guys. So instead, I went on my Instagram stories, and you would not believe the people that have said to me, "What program are you doing? What is this? What is this in the library? Where can I access this?" Some of them are my clients, some of them aren't. Some of them wanted to know, like, what is this you're doing that's low impact, because I need low impact in my life. Like I am hitting Success Club faster earlier on in the month. Just focusing on being like every 2 hours, making sure I've got an Instagram story or a Facebook story up than I ever did when I would I would write these posts and just think they were bomb posts, right? And they were, and they still are. A lot of times I just copy and paste from last year or the year before and make a post. But they're not getting the engagement that stories are. People want to see you being silly. I've gotten so much interaction from people watching me. I've been dancing every day until my students come back in the room on TikTok, and then posting the TikTok to my Instagram stories. So many people. One woman was like, Lindsay, even after your kids are in your room, keep dancing. I want to see you keep dancing. Like, that's the stuff people want to see. And that's the stuff that gets them saying, okay, what's this thing you're doing now? They want to see you being more than a business owner. They want to see you being more than a fitness person. Yes, like, no trust. Yeah, they have to follow you for a little while before they're going to kind of ask you what you're doing. And you can spend time curating these really great posts, but that is time that some of you are telling me, and I'm hearing you, that you don't have. Now, I will say this, if you've already written great posts in years past, who's stopping you from copying them, putting them into the notes of your phone, changing up a few things, and reusing them? I literally, today I wasn't going to post anything because I'm very purposeful. One day on the weekend, I try to just go off social media because I am very intentional about doing a story every 2 hours. So one day on the weekends, I try to just say, I'm not going to do any stories. I might get on social media and scroll it in a way that I wouldn't for my business. But as far as like creating content and stuff, I don't do that one day on the weekends. Just because I feel like I need the mental break, especially right now since I'm plugged into a computer 24/7 at school. But it's important to use those things. Like today, I went through my memories on Facebook because I love that feature on Facebook, and I copied a post and put it in my notes part of my phone to use later. I'm not going to use it today because I'm not going to post today, but I can use it later because it was a damn good post, even though it was written 2 years ago. So I copied and pasted it for another time. A couple things about Instagram stories. It's really important to remember that what works for someone else may not work for you. So don't try to be Raina. Don't try to be like whatever it is that someone else is doing that's really cute and you love watching their stories just because of that. Don't try to copy it. Borrowed words are not cool. You use your own words. Chalene Johnson likes to say borrowed words are for the birds. So just don't do it. The other thing I really like about stories is stories almost force you to interact with the people watching them. So even if less people are seeing your stories than the people on your Facebook page are seeing your posts, more people are probably engaging with them or interacting with them. For example, if you ask a question on Facebook, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 people comment, maybe 5. I mean, maybe none. Yesterday I made what I thought was a great post and I think 8 people liked it or something. But on Instagram stories, if I pose a question with a poll, I mean, I can get up to like 50 some responses on that poll. And that allows me to then get into some questions with these people. And questions are where it's really at. Like it's great if you get a lot of likes on your picture. That's great. But when people start asking questions and when you start being able to have conversations with people, that is when you get that like, no trust that Christy just talked about. Don't tell people that you're about to sell them. So when you get on your Instagram stories, talk like you're talking to me. Talk like you're talking to your girlfriend or your husband or whoever it is that you talk to. Talk like, don't be like, oh, hey guys, oh my gosh, let me tell you about this new shake flavor we just came out with. It is so good, because you literally just said you're talking to hundreds of people. So I feel like a nobody because you're not talking to me, you're talking to everybody. And you just told me you're going to tell me about this new shake flavor that you absolutely love. So you just told me you're about to sell me on this shake flavor. I probably am going to stop listening. I'm probably just going to start tapping through the story, right? Unless it's something that I already feel like I need. Most people don't feel like they need what we're offering until we show them that they need it or that they're going to feel better from it. Instead, you need to word your stories like, Girl, man, this thing is saving my life this morning because not only does it taste amazing right now, but my kids would not get out of bed. And then when they finally got out of bed, it was like trying to, I don't know, clean snot on off a slobbery dog's tail or something to get them to put underwear on. Like, I'm just totally making stuff up here, but it was so hard. Like they got out of bed finally, but then they wouldn't put their clothes on. And then they wanted marshmallows for breakfast and ice cream and blah, blah, blah. And they were crying because I didn't give them money to get a snack at school. And at least I know that I've got this so that I'm not going to like starve to death and wither away to nothing while I'm trying to do virtual teaching kind of thing. That is so much more relatable. I feel like you are talking right to me. I feel like, girl, I get you, because it's hard to get my own children out of bed. You didn't tell me you're selling me. You didn't come right out and say, let me tell you about this thing that is amazing. Instead, you showed me how it's making your life easier, keeping you maybe a little bit more sane, even though you are a mom in the middle of a pandemic that's trying to distance learn with your child. But you just made me feel like where I am, I'm relevant too. It's not just like, let me sell you this because I like it and I want to make some money. It's more like, let me tell you how this is saving my life right now because I don't know how much longer I could go on without it, kind of thing. I think a lot of moms feel that way, especially about cooking. Oh my Lord. I am so over trying to figure out new things to put on the table for my family. I'm over it. I know that we have gone back and forth about attraction marketing, about whether or not that works or not. I don't think we should be focused on attraction marketing. I don't think we should be trying to attract people. I think we should be trying to, instead of trying to get people to look at something and think, oh, that's cool or that's pretty, I don't want them to look at it. I want them to engage with it, right? So I want to focus on curiosity marketing. So when you're doing your stories, I don't want you to come right out and tell people what it is you're doing. When I call my Energize, I like do a whole little combo in the morning. And every morning I make it. And almost every morning I have someone say, what is all that stuff you're mixing in there? What's that pink drink? And it's like, I do my hydrate, I do my energize, and I do my collagen all in there. And I drink it all together while I'm working out. And I call it my unicorn juice. I call it my instant energy. Sometimes I just label it with a lightning bolt. I never come right out and say, oh, I'm mixing my energize and my hydrate and I'm doing this, because people don't want to know that. We want to get them curious about what it is that we have. Maybe talk about why we're using it. Selling people repels people. Selling repels. Think about how you feel when you see somebody in your Instagram stories, or you see a post on Instagram and it says right here, sponsored post, or it's like hashtag ad. And then it goes on to talk about like Jergens body lotion or something like that. Like, I don't read that stuff. No one else is going to read it if it's coming from you either, no matter where your heart is. Okay. So just show up in that authentic way that is you are you. So just show up as you in your Instagram stories, in your Facebook stories, and talk to people. It doesn't have to be a beautiful picture. It doesn't have to be this eloquent post with like 30 words and bullets and using the little emojis and all that stuff. Just show up. Oh my gosh, the other day I was talking about my preschool class that I'm teaching, and I had spelling errors all in the videos because, confession, I was typing it like as I was sitting at stoplights on the way to pick up my kids from daycare. So I didn't really look. I didn't really like edit it before I hit post. I was just trying to get it done on the way there because I don't have time either, y'all. But afterwards I thought, oh my gosh, I should take those down. I should fix them. And then I thought, you know what? No, that's me. I am a hot mess. I go too fast. I rush. I'm busy and I make mistakes. So I'm going to leave it. And people probably noticed them. Maybe some of them were like, this bitch is trying to teach pre-K and she can't even spell the word what, but oh well, that's me. That's who I am. So it's okay to make mistakes. what else do I want to say? Leak out stuff. So when you are talking on your stories and when you're sharing things on your stories, you only want to give out a little bit, because when we know a little bit, we become more curious, and then we start following closer or looking more, or we go to your thing as soon as we wake up in the morning to see if your circle is red so that I can see what you talked about while I was asleep or while I was not paying attention. Don't ever lead with the company, lead with yourself. You're not a Beachbody coach. You're a human being. Maybe a mom, maybe a wife, maybe a teacher, maybe, I don't know, what a bonus mom, maybe girlfriend, whatever you are, lead with that. Stop leading with the fact that you're a coach, because you are way more than that. That's just one of the things. But most of us, I think, don't actually get started because we don't feel qualified to be a coach. And I still struggle with that sometimes, like, especially because I'm not perfect in my own journey. So I'm like, well, how do I even get out there and talk about this when I'm not killing it? Like, I'm not doing it the right way every day, because I'm not just a coach. I'm a human being. And you have to come to a point where you realize nobody's expecting me to be perfect. Nobody's expecting me to be a coach 24/7. Nobody's expecting me to look like, I mean, my job is not to be Autumn Calabrese. It's just not. I don't get paid for that kind of thing. So instead, I'm going to show up and be Lindsay. And maybe by being Lindsay, I'll influence someone else and inspire someone else to be a better version of themselves. Because one thing you can say is, regardless of how long you've been on this journey, regardless of how long you've been a coach or where you are, maybe you've been at your fittest and now you're back down to one of your lowest points. Maybe you're struggling with your mental game. Maybe you're struggling with your physical game, your nutrition game. Wherever you are you. And you are relatable. You are someone that other people are going to feel connected to because you are you. No, I mean, how many of you feel a strong connection to Autumn Calabrese? No, I don't. I mean, she's awesome and she has a banging body and she clearly has her nutrition going. Does that make me feel like I can relate to her? No, not at all. I feel like we lead completely different lives. Don't let other people feel that way about you. Lead with your mess. Make your mess your message. Make it your message every single day. Don't pick and choose the days you're going to show up. I know it is much easier for me to write a good post on a Sunday or a Saturday because I've got the time to sit down and type it out. But if I only show up on Saturday and Sunday, people are going to not pay attention to me, because you got to be consistent, even if you're consistently messing up. I mean, excuse my French for a minute if you have little kids in the room, but I mean, you can consistently be a fuck up and people are going to be like, yes, that's my girl. Like, as long as you are being consistent, people are going to relate to that. It's when you try to not show that side of your life, like you try to be perfect and show like just the clean side. One thing I will never do is I will never clean my office before I work out, because my kids are doing school in here. My dogs sleep in here. My weights end up not getting put back some days. It's really easy to think that you can only show certain pieces of your home because they look good in that moment. That's not what stories are about. Stories are about just showing up and being you. My office is generally a mess because a lot of things are going on in here. It's not just my office. My kitchen is usually, it's not a mess right now because I cleaned it before I went to bed, got ready for bed tonight. But I mean, if I'm baking with my daughter, yeah, there's probably flour all over the counter, and there's probably in the mornings, there's almost always Shakeology spilled on the counter, and then I wipe it up when I get back in the afternoon. Like, that is my life. So don't think you have to clean before you can pose a picture and just show the good parts, because that's not how we roll. It's just not. What works for other people is not going to work for you. Doing things the way everyone else does them will not make you stand out. Maybe you're the only person on their Instagram that actually lets them see the mess behind the picture. Like, over here is this beautiful picture, but behind the camera, what's going on? Share that part. Share the behind the scenes part. Let people in. I'm telling you, since I have stopped focusing so much on going down to the train tracks and, posing the cute pictures, which I love looking back and seeing those pictures. And I really do want to throw my tripod in my car and take more pictures like that. But since I've been letting people see the mess, since I've been letting people into the raw parts of Lindsay, I have definitely had a much greater response because people feel like they don't have to know what they're doing. I had someone message me today who just bought a package from me 2 weeks ago, and she was like, I really don't know what I'm doing. Like, I have never done anything like this before. What do I do? So I've already talked her through part of it, but I'm just talking her through it again because do you remember feeling like that when you started? Some days I still feel like that, and I should know what I'm doing, but I don't. You need to let your guard down. You have to allow yourself to be real, even when real is messy and ugly and imperfect, even when real doesn't have foundation on, even when real has, eyebrows that haven't been plucked or eyelashes that haven't been filled in months because we're living in a pandemic. Let people see that. Share the emotional and physical aspects of your life and share how they're constantly transforming, because golly, guys, you could have a before and after just from yesterday and today, probably. I mean, I could have a before and after from earlier today and right now, as far as how I feel as a mom. Earlier today, I felt like the biggest failure of a mom because watching my children play outside, I saw some things that I wasn't proud of and had to bring them in and correct it and do a little timeout, come to Jesus. And then tonight we lay in bed, we read our books. And I think 4 or 5 times before my son fell asleep, he said, Mommy, I love you. And I said it back. Totally different feeling than it was just a few hours ago. Talk about that, because other moms are feeling the same thing. Other people are feeling the same thing. Stop people pleasing. Stop worrying about what people are going to say when you post. Stop worrying about what people are going to think when you get on your Instagram stories and you just show up as you. Because regardless of what you think, someone needs to hear what you have to say. Someone needs to hear the message. The other thing I want to ask, and I'm going to actually end the call with this question, and this is going to be a question that leads into the next call, is if time and money, because time has been the biggest issue for a lot of us, if time and money were not an issue, what would your vision be for your business? Because what you need to do first is decide what you want to accomplish with this business. And then we need to figure out what needs to happen. What is like necessary foundational stuff that has to happen every day in order for you to reach that goal. You don't have to have a beautiful picture and a beautiful post every day. Some of the most amazing, impactful things I see on social media now are when women actually like share their scars or share their cellulite or share the fact that they've always hated this one thing about their body and they just can't bring themselves to love it, or share the fact that they yelled at their children today and they're ashamed of it and they're crying in their closet by themselves right now after the kids are in bed because they lost their patience. Like that's what our world needs right now. Our world needs grace, and it needs community and support, and us showing up trying to be perfect and curated every day is not what the world needs. So I really want to encourage you to focus this week. Do a little experiment. Focus more time. And I'm not saying you have to prep any of this. I don't prep any of this. Focus more time on your stories. Try to do at least one story every 2 to 3 hours so that you stay relevant on your Instagram feed. Okay? Focus on that more than you focus on writing a post every day. I'm not saying don't show up on social media, but I'm saying instead of coming up with this big doctored post about how, your income allowed you to take your kids kayaking or buy a new boat or something, instead just post the picture of you and your kids out having fun and be like, dang, I am so glad that now I'm the mom who can do these things because I wasn't always that person. that right there is going to resonate with so many more people than you taking the time to say, I'm so grateful that I have this income that has allowed me to do this. And guys, I'm guilty of it. I just did a post like that and like nobody paid attention to it. So that's where this is coming from. Spend more time this week on stories and less time trying to write this perfect post that maybe is even too long for people to actually stop and read, because if you don't have time, they probably don't either. Okay. I mean, let's be real. Nobody has time right now for anything. And most of us don't want to be on a screen when we have been on a screen all day. Like I am like not even letting my children do homework until like 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, which I know as a mom is probably a horrible choice, but they've been on a screen all day long on Google Meets. So I'm like, no, go outside and play for like 2 or 3 hours. And then I'll call you in and we'll do your work before you go to bed after bath time. Like, I just can't even imagine making them get on a screen as soon as we get home to do homework. So keep that in mind. The last thing I'm going to say about stories is it is super duper easy, even if you don't pay for content like some of us do, to create the little list thing where you are like, make a couple images to go along with your challenge group, steal a couple transformation posts out of our team page, and make a couple stories and keep them on your phone and use them every 3 or 4 days. Use those same stories. It is a-okay to use the same thing. And when you make your little list of like, these 10 people have decided to change their life, keep it and reuse it. There is no need to create that stuff in the moment. Like, create it once and use it for the entire 30 days of October, 31 days of October. Okay. Don't think you need to be coming up with something new and fresh every day. Now, I wouldn't use the same thing every day because that'll get boring, but for you and for other people, but reuse it. Like, there are things I see some of you post or share on your stories. I screenshot it so that I can steal it later. Maybe, and I'll be honest, I don't have time to make cute graphics. So I generally get on and just talk a lot on my stories. People seem to like it because it's going well for me. So try it. I'm going to look at the chat box before I say good night. Oh my gosh, Christy, I have been drowning in laundry. Like, just today it finally all got put away. I was like, yeah. Oh man, it was horrible. Awesome. I'm so glad this was good, Cynthia. I'm so glad this was good, Christy. I love you guys. I hope you have a great week.